Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Young with the Weekend Handyman, and today I've got a special guest. I've got Kyle Stumpenhorst with me. Kyle, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, John. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being with me. One of the big surveys that just came out and was released this past summer from DeWalt was talking about how people are wanting to go and remodel as opposed to build. You've been in this industry for quite a while. Kind of give people a little 411 on what your experience has been in the construction world.
Sure. So for me, I started as a remodeler, back in 2007. So that's when I started my business. I've done kind of just about everything through, I've done the plumbing, the electrical. I'm not a licensed plumber, but, just through remodeling small plumbing projects all the way into new construction, new homes. And I kind of about 2012, 2013 found a real passion for post frame construction, which for those of you that don't know, is a little bit different than your standard stick frame. Uses larger timbers, and it's most commonly used in large structures like barns. It's been around since the Egyptians, and that's what we specialize in now.
And you really feature those on your YouTube channel. If you guys want to jump out there, the link is in the description below. But you've got a lot of great videos showing the different processes of building with that construction methodology.
Yeah. Well, it's a very under, I guess, it's not known. It's not known as much as your standard stick frame. So there's a lot of people that just are ignorant to what it is. It's not a negative thing. That's just, my goal is to educate so that when they see it, they're not afraid of it. Because a lot of people are afraid of it, especially banks, people that are wanting to get financing. It's not as widely accepted, so they just want to shy away from it, when in reality, it's a very good form of construction.
So in this video, let's take a look a little bit on how to start a project. When a person they look at their house and it's like, we could sell, we could remodel, because there's, the price of purchasing has gotten so high. People are looking at remodeling, and the survey from DeWalt really showed that there's going to be more people looking at that. So when we're getting into that, first thing we're going to need to do is we want to start and do it in a way that's going to be the most intelligent. Sure. How would you recommend people get started and they have a project they want to have done?
Well, I think first it's important to know what you want. If you say, I want to remodel my bathroom, and you go to a contractor and say, hey, we want to remodel our bathroom, but you don't know the specifics. You don't know what size tub you want. You don't know if you want a tile shower, if you want a walk-in shower. You don't know all these details. You don't know what it's going to look like, paint colors. If you're just saying, I just want to remodel my bathroom, first off, your contractor might not take you seriously. They might look at it like, this is just a tire kicker and a waste of my time. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I always recommend when I talk to somebody is, hey, you got to have an idea on the specs. I need to know, take as many pictures off of Pinterest, off of the internet that you can find that just are inspiring to you and your project, and have those put together. Have the tub you want, the dream stuff. It doesn't, even if it's probably going to be more money than you want to spend, you have to start with your wants. You have to know what that is.
And I think that's a great point to start with, is that knowing what you want, because if you don't, contractors are super busy. And can you talk a little bit about how difficult it is to be able to even get on the list for some of these contractors?
Yeah, if we're talking about that survey that DeWalt put together, 80% of the people that are looking to do work, out of those 80% of homeowners that are going to be doing remodeling, almost 60% of them have talked to contractors and are going to be on a waiting list of at least 3 months or longer. Everybody's busy, myself included. We're out over a year. That's just the way it is. I have so much work. There's not enough of us doing the work out there that you have to be prepared enough that when you talk to the contractors, that they take you seriously, that they know you're ready to go, and you have to be willing to wait. That's the other side of it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have an idea of what we want. We've got pictures from Pinterest and a lot of things all lined up so we can present that. I almost feel like we're applying for a job when we're doing that with the contracting. What would be our next step?
Yeah. Well, you say that, John, in a joking way, but I always say that, a contractor has to almost do an interview process with the client. It's not, in this market, not every job that comes across my desk is a good fit for me. Not every job can I do because we're so full of work. So you have to present your project in a way that is appealing to a contractor. You have to know your budget. You're going to have to be ready and prepared for all these sorts of items, instead of just saying, hey, give me a price, and then I'm going to talk to your competitor over here, give me a price, and I'm just going to take the cheapest price, and we're going to start next week. Those days are long gone. You have to be prepared to wait. and find the right contractor. So that would be my second thing that I'm going to, tell people is you need to do your research. You can't just go down a list of names in a Yellow Pages, call them all, and look for the cheapest number. What I say now, and I'm a big social media advocate, like you said, I've got a lot of social media. I do that so that my future clients can almost internet stalk me, find out everything about me, find out what my guys look like on site, what my site looks like during construction, so that they're not calling me unless they know I'm the fit. If they've already done all that, they know I'm the right person. And so when they come to me, the goal is they know what to expect. And any customer can do that nowadays because it's being very popular to put your stuff out on social media to almost brag. It's the new portfolio. It's a free way to advertise.
Certainly it is. Yeah, that portfolio idea is great. In a situation, though, where you're not finding that, are there other ways a person can get to know some of these contractors?
Well, I think that most people are very open to talking about who they had do the work and what they thought of them. I mean, as well as I do, people like to either brag about a good job done,
yes,
or they also like to let you know that they were not happy. So I always say, hey, if you're going to talk to some contractors, ask them for past clients, ask them for references, go look at some of their work. Most likely, they're putting you on a wait list of 3 months or longer. You can say, okay, where are you going to be at next? I would like to maybe follow along with this project. I want to drive by a couple times, maybe peek in. If a contractor is proud of their work, they're not going to be shy about sharing what they're doing.
Excellent. And then being able to actually see and get some ideas may be beneficial also for a person in those situations.
That's right. Yep.
So we're looking at, we've looked for referrals and such, or we've stocked them online, whichever way. What's the next step in the process?
Well, I think at that point, if you've made a commitment, if you found a contractor that fits the mold, and it seems like they're going to be able to be trustworthy and they're going to be able to work in your house. The next thing is talking about money. And money is a tough thing because everybody has a certain value to their work. Everybody has a certain price they're willing to pay. And, it doesn't always come into fruition that those are the exact same numbers. When you talk to somebody, it's expensive right now. Prices have gone up. Materials have gone up. People's availability has decreased. Therefore, their rates have gone up. The whole supply and demand. It's not cheap to do home remodels right now. And it definitely is maybe not going to get cheaper. So you have to go in open-minded, and you have to be prepared to, find somebody and talk to somebody on a personal level about the prices and what truthfully to expect. You have to find a contractor that you can talk to.
Sure. You've had situations where people have come to you and they've said, "Hey, Kyle, I really want to have this man shed built," and they've got no idea budget-wise. They're like, I want it done for $50,000, and you're like, "Dude, I'm not going to be able to touch that for under $200,000 because you want blinky lights everywhere, whatever." How can a person have an idea of what they should budget for their project without offending the potential contractors?
Yeah, that's a good question because I get that all the time, and people usually reach out to me because I have a social following, even though they know I'm never going to do the job. I'm in Illinois, they're in Kentucky or California, and they just want to know a roundabout idea. And I say, listen, I can only give you a range. I could tell you a range, but it's so localized. So your listeners that are listening to this, they might be nowhere near me. Their market could be, maybe it's dead. It might be a somewhat dead market, and it might be easy to find a contractor. If you're around me, this year's full for almost everybody. I don't know any post frame builder that's got the time. That's a tough thing. Numbers, yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to talk to somebody. You have to give them their specs if you want a real number. If you just want someone to throw you out a number, a lot of guys will do that. A lot of guys will throw you a number. It's not going to be accurate. I can promise you that.
Because my concern with that situation is that when you'll have a contractor, and I've had worked with a couple over the years, and they have come out and they said, "Hey, what's your budget?" Early in the process, and it was it's like we don't even really know. We don't have an idea of what this will cost to do to a point, and you don't want to alienate or offend, especially when finding quality contractors is so difficult at this day and age. So that's a tough area for a lot of folks.
Yeah. So what I do a lot of times is, and I'm fortunate enough that most people know my past work because I've pushed so much of it on social. So it's like, hey, we really like this job, but we want to do this, and I I can be upfront with them and say, this project over here, this ran in this range. You know, there's always going to be oddities like the site, the distance to travel, you know, maybe the finishes that you go with. But I always try to give a customer, before we even talk, some sort of an idea on a range. But I always say, don't tell me what you, or don't try to undersell what you're trying to do. Give me your dream. Like, I want to know your dream. And as a contractor, my job is always, I feel, to find a way to get you what you want. Don't give you what you don't need, and try to look at your problem, what you're trying to solve, and give you the solution. It's not always possible, John, but as a contractor, I think that we have to, you know, try to do that. Don't just look at the budget and try to, you know, exceed it, because that's what happens. Usually most budgets don't get hit. It's usually always more because everybody wants more. But try to find, you know, a trustworthy contractor that's going to maybe help you plan that and give you those real numbers, not just give you some rough estimate and then say, when it gets done, I'll send you a bill. That's not a way.
Let's continue on with the project idea. Now, so if once we find a contractor that we like and it's going to work, we're going to be able to work with, who then takes care of things like building permits and things that are needed for that typically in projects?
Well, I think it all depends, once again, on the contract you select. Me personally, you know, in my area, the homeowner pulls the permit. That's just the way it's always been. I've never gone in and pulled permits. You know, I'll deal with, you know, subcontractor arrangements and getting things scheduled. You know, if some inspection needs to be done, I can make those calls. But, you know, that's something that you're going to have to, once again, it's probably going to be somewhat selective to your area. Obviously, if you're in city limits, there might be different stipulations and code rules that you need to follow. I'm typically out in the country where it's not that there aren't any code to follow. It's that it's a looser rules. You know, it's just not as tight.
Yeah, and we're in a similar situation here where we are in a rural area, and there's a little more
flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, nobody wants anything to fall over, burn up, or flood. You know, everybody wants to do good work. It's just, I guess we're fortunate that we don't have as much stringent, you know, rules.
From a homeowner's perspective, once I've hired a contractor to come in and take care of things, you mentioned, of course, then you would take care of the subcontractors and things such as that. Is there anything else that a homeowner really is going to need after they've said, yes, I want this, and signed the contract and they put their money down? Is there anything they really need to do besides, you know, maybe answer a question here or there?
Well, I think, you know, obviously being available to answer questions for the contractor as things arise. I think, you know, being patient. Patience is a big thing. And some people, it seems in my experience, you know, a customer knows it's 3 months out, but as soon as you sign that paper, they might be already, you know, wanting it to start next week. And so I think be patient. You have to trust the person that you're hiring to do the work. And also you need to trust that their goal is not to make you unhappy. Their business relies on your happiness.
For sure. Is there any things people sometimes wonder about, insurances and things that could be involved as someone coming and working on their property? Are there things like that they need to work about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I carry builder's risk, so anytime I pull up, I give my insurance company a value to the project. So that's something that you should definitely ask. I mean, yes, you've got workers' comp. You know, in Illinois, it's not required for me to have workers' comp while I'm working on like a residence. I still carry a policy, but builder's risk basically is a policy that you should ask your contractor to see if they carry, because on your project, until it's completed, a lot of times insurance companies, homeowners might not cover those projects. You know, this is all things that you should check, but I cover an additional policy based off the value of the project, so that if something were to happen, the homeowner's not out. It's on me. I cover it. Let's say a big tornado comes and we're not done, or a hailstorm and ruins all the roof. My insurance picks that up through a builder's risk policy.
So there are a few insurances that the contractors will carry, that the homeowners
should carry.
Yes, they should carry, and the homeowners really don't need to be purchasing anything additional when it comes to insurance wise.
That's right.
Excellent. As long as we're doing everything in one video really well here, Kyle. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned prices have gone up so much. Let's kind of dig into that a little bit of why have the prices beyond the contractors, more jobs, fewer contractors out there serving that. materials and everything have gone up. What really is a person to kind of looking at that and, is it going to change, or is this just the new reality?
John, that is the $1,000,000 question I asked myself. A year ago, I always tell the story. A year ago, a guy calls me, says, "Hey, you do a lot of wood buildings. I've got a rail car coming in and it's full of lumber. I can get it to you for this price." And I'm thinking, why would I want to do that? Well, then what happens? We get COVID. COVID hits America. It's hit the whole world. It put a lot of businesses out, and it put a lot of people out of work, which, as anyone that, I guess is sensible can think, it also meant wood, mills where wood was being produced, any material for any building product. These things all slowed down. The supply slowed down because trucking wasn't happening as much. And so it's trickled down to the point where a lot of these companies were seeing the shortages, and they're still seeing them. I just got word that we were going to see a shortage on adhesives for in our doors, and windows, which meant, and we're talking, how many months has it been since the start of COVID? And that just hit now. Lumber hit it way back last year, and we've been seeing it go up over winter. And it's just, it's a supply and demand thing. So what I've been telling people is, don't plan your project around 2019 prices. Plan them around your 2020 prices, the 2021 prices, and let's hope they continue to go down. I just finished a job where I bid it during the height of, the pricing, and my customer was pleasantly surprised because, we had like a 20% or 30% reduction in lumber prices during that period between, signing and buying.
And those price increases, as you mentioned, the glue, the adhesive, it's really covered the whole gamut of almost every material that's used in modeling,
everything,
building. Yeah.
Everything has gone up. I mean, I would venture to say in the 30 to 50% range on my end. I've seen increases since January 1.
One last thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap up here, Kyle, because this is something that I've got some people that I've talked to, and when they have a contractor, they like to kind of go out there and see if they can, hold the end of the 2x4 while they're cutting, or, just offer help or something.
Yep.
Kind of address that a little bit for the homeowner that wants to be there and maybe be a little too helpful of how that works out in reality.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact quote, but I've seen a T-shirt that says, contractor hourly rate, let's just say $20. Contractor hourly rate, if you want to watch, is $25. And contractor hourly rate, if you want to help, is like $50. I like, a lot of times I get my clients, they want to sit around and watch because, I'm building a building or a man cave or something that they've been wanting forever. It's super exciting. And believe it or not, my customer today, great guy. We're back for a second job, and he hung around and he wanted to talk to us. We probably lost a couple hours in time. Those couple hours translate to labor price. I'm not spending more money on materials, but the more you want to hang around, the more you want to watch, the more it's going to cost. And that's just the way it is. So it's hard. Everybody wants to be there and see the project go. And that's why I try to share everything out on social media. So my clients don't have to, and they still get to follow along and see everything we did.
Yeah, and there's also the safety issue. I know from a couple projects,
safety's a big thing too. You're right.
There's that where you're not used to have somebody standing back there, and you're moving that 2x around, and that it is. Kyle, if people would like to go and check out your portfolio, what's the best place for them to go see the work that you guys have been doing?
Sure. I mean, if you were to search off of Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, search RR Buildings, and you're going to find a plethora of different social media sites. And, it goes back for 4 or 5 years of just project after project. And I try to share the process. It's not just this is a beautiful end picture, that somebody can use as inspiration. It's kind of the how we got there from start to finish that people hopefully can understand really what goes into the job. It's not like the HGTV networks, the DIYs where, in a 30-minute segment, a bathroom is done. It takes time, it takes thought, it takes planning, and it's a lot more than just snap your fingers and it's done.
That's for sure. We'll put those links in the description below so you guys can go and check out Kyle's different social media platforms. Last question, Kyle, and this one's completely off the cuff. What was your very first tool?
My very first tool was a 7 1/4 worm drive circular saw, skill saw. My dad bought it, and it was scary as all get out. to have that monster of a saw. But that's what my dad said. If you're going to start doing contracting, like, you got to have a worm drive skill saw. And I still got it. It's, it's probably about 20 years old now.
Oh, wow. Oh, neat stuff. Kyle, I want to thank you for coming on today. This is great. We got a lot of great information. And if you guys have any questions, check out the social media channels there. You can reach out to Kyle through those different platforms, and maybe he can answer a couple of questions for you. Kyle,
it'd be my pleasure, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us.
For more tips and how-to videos, go to weekendhandyman.com.